All right, the next episode of the Coach JL podcast, Football and Life, and we have a new special guest, and that's Niall Padden, former Allgaeu Comets linebacker, and last with the comments, you were the DC. Moving on to a different position in the very near future with the ELF, the European League of Football. Welcome to the podcast, Niall. How you doing, man?
Fantastic. My absolute pleasure to be here. Awesome to be here.
Very good. Very good. Fantastic. It's always great if you move on to something new.
Absolutely.
But I know you for a while. You've been with the Comets for a very long time.
Yes.
Then it's like a new toy as a kid, on Christmas morning, going to into a new position. We can't really just talk about it just yet, but congratulations on the position. Now, what's your background playing football in the U.S.?
Okay. I played in high school for Oaks Christian High School. We won multiple California state championships. It was probably one of the highest levels of football I've ever been a part of in my entire life, to be quite honest. Lots of rings, lots of jewelry that I got from that school. Moved on. I was a freshman at University of Arizona. I like to indulge in the extracurricular activities a little bit too often. So I lost my chance at that team my freshman year because I kind of messed it up. Bounced back, went to junior college in Moorpark College, won regional state titles with Moorpark College as a middle linebacker for 2 years. And then after that, continued my education in Montana, in the frozen tundra of Montana, up in Montana Tech in Butte, Montana. Shout out Butte, Montana, all my boys in Butte. Miss you all. And then, finished up there. Tried for the NFL Regional Combine in Seattle. Traveled there, worked out there. I was too ugly to be a part of an NFL franchise, so they deemed me too unattractive to be on a team, which I would understand. And then after that, I went back to work in Montana until the meantime before I came over to Germany.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So high school at the highest level in California. That's something I didn't know about you. That's pretty cool. So played good enough so you can get a scholarship, Arizona, and then missing a little direction.
Yeah, got lost a little bit. Gotta say, I like to call. I look back at it and say it's a character building experience, most definitely.
Yeah. Anything particular that you would say this is why this happened?
Nah. I was young, stupid. Like to enjoy myself a little bit too much. Lack of self-control. 18, 19 years old. Lots of very, very attractive women and absurd amounts of alcohol that I was exposed to. And University of Arizona was known as, at the time, I'm pretty sure it still is, one of the top party schools in the entire nation. And I definitely indulged myself way too much.
Yeah. So first time away from home?
Yeah, also too. You know what? Yeah, that could have been part of it. Could have been a part of it. Yeah. Absolutely. But no, it's I weigh my decisions completely on myself. I look back at that as unfortunate as it was that I committed that. All the trials, tribulations I've had my entire life, I look back on as things that built me and built the man that I am right now. So I don't look back and have any regrets on things that I did. Just moving forward, I'm happy that I had those experiences to build my character and to realize there's a time to lay off the sauce and then there's a time to get to work.
Yeah.
So
building blocks and learning and growing opportunities. Yeah.
Yes,
very good.
I learned not to play with fire by playing with fire. Simple as that.
There you go. Yeah. As long as we grow and learn and develop, we have a chance.
Yes.
If we keep doing the same thing over and over and the wrong thing, it's never good.
That's the definition of madness right there.
There you go. That's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
My real first question always with the podcast with the guests is, when did we meet for the first time?
Ooh, I do. I do. Maybe not in person, but actually, John, you were the very first person to message me on Europlayer's significant team when you were with the Dresden Monarchs way back when I was a young boy. And you were the first person to reach out to me in the first first real big team in Europe at the time, and still big team in Europe, to be quite honest, to reach out to me and to start talking about me coming over to Europe. So that is when we met. I believe it was 2014.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I have a pretty good recollection for players and names and stuff. Sometimes I can't come up with a name, and it takes me a minute. That's my old age and the banging on the head. But I thought I wasn't quite sure what year, so I scrolled back on Messenger, and I saw it was 2014. You're correct. So congratulations for making it so far. This is 10 years later.
Damn. It is a decade later. Oh, yeah.
So now, moving forward, right? So we know when we really spoke for the first time. You then decided to go to the Allgaeu Comets.
Yes, sir.
Is that the only team you play for in Europe or in the GFL?
That is the only team. I've been 10 toes down in Kempten since 2015, since my initial arrival way back when. And for good reason. I love all the people in Kempten. I love the management in Kempten. The city is incredibly beautiful. The surrounding area in Bayern in southern Germany is astoundingly picturesque and has lakes and mountains and castles and stuff. It's like a Disney storybook, to be quite honest. So not only have I had a really strong fealty to the Comets for such a long time because of the team and the people that have been a part of it, but it's just been an incredible place to live for the last 10 years.
Nice. Now you said that storybook. That castle, is it Swine?
Neuschwanstein.
Is that close to Kempten?
40 minutes away, I believe. It's about 40 minutes.
All right.
Yeah. It's very, very close in proximity. We're right on the border, almost on the border of Austria and Italy, right down here. And you can get to Austria and Italy if you'd like to. You can just jump in the car and take off and go have a pizza in North Italy if you'd like that. So that's
I've been to Munich for football, but never made it to Kempten. Or look, been to Munich. It's a football field or a meeting room. That's what football is, right?
No, you can say that. You can say you've been there. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. If you had at least one beer in the city, that validates for you saying that you've been to the city.
Okay.
In my opinion.
So I drove past the new Bayern Munich stadium there.
Sexy.
So that is a spectacular stadium. Yeah.
Really is.
How did you you finish playing, you don't make it into the NFL, and then you go like, all right, I'm not done playing, man. What's next? How did you hear about playing in Europe? Because you were on Europlayers, right? I think that's where I found you. So how did that work? How did that happen for you?
Well, I actually originally made Europlayers when I was in junior college, back when I was in JC. Long before to kind of in the way to kind of build a resume as I went through college, to kind of show people and track my progression as I was going through college. But after I got done and the NFL Combine, the regional combine didn't go well for me or whatever, I went to work for the Department of Corrections for a private company, for a rehabilitation company. It's a private company that works in conjunction with the Department of Corrections and the jail system. And that was an extremely not tough job, but growing job, as far as I was dealing with people that have been incarcerated for 20 years, 10, 20, 30 years, trying to get back out last term of their sentence. And I didn't to say that I didn't see my future in private rehabilitation for DOC work. I went back to Europlayers, and you hit me up in 2014, but as well as Brian Kaler, the past head coach of the Allgaeu Comets back in 2015, 2014, and beforehand. He was the one that elevated the Comets, or helped elevate the Comets up into the GFL 1 ranks. And he got in contact with me shortly after you did, and opened my eyes specifically to how important my Irish passport was, and the fact that I could have a long-lasting career in Europe as a football player. And I didn't really think that much of it. But as I was working that job in close proximity to murderers, drug traffickers, gangbangers, stuff like that, I was going, holy shit, I don't really see myself doing this. Good pay was good, life was okay, but I didn't see a future in it that much. I could have shifted and gone a different route as far as professional work and career and stuff. But I went, you know what? Maybe I will give it a shot. Maybe we'll go take a leap of faith and go check it out. And I've never looked back.
I haven't looked back since. Yeah, nice.
Look back, yeah.
So always the one team. Now, especially when those years when I was in the GFL, you keep an eye out where the ball is, right? How many times did you end up in top 10, top 5 tacklers, individual tackles in the GFL? Because you've been up there.
Yeah. I was the leading tackler for 2 seasons, and I believe I was top 5 every single season that I played. Top 3 or top 5.
Yeah. And did you ever tally those tackles in like a career thing, or
maybe? I don't know. I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have a. Hold on. If you give me, you want me to tell you?
Not important now, but it's that's
5,000 tackles, 50 set. No, I have no idea. I have no idea. I have to look at the numbers.
5,000 is that's a bit much.
That's a lot. AJ, if you're listening, keep going. You got it. AJ Wentland can do that. He's got it. He's got to keep going, but he's got it.
Yeah. Special guy too, right? Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, so tackling, interception, sacks, we were always in that top tier there, right? So
yeah.
You had a very nice playing career in Europe. Then last year you transitioned to becoming the DC. With Comets.
Yes.
So what made you decide to move on from playing to coaching?
Great question. I can actually tell you the exact moment it happened. My last season as a player, we went for the quarterfinal up to Braunschweig, up to New Yorker, to play against the Lions to further our advances in the playoffs, right? Not a soul on this planet besides us thought we were going to win that game. We arrived at the stadium. We did the film. They were going through quarterbacks because one quarterback went down, another went down. And I played against the Braunschweig Lions 2 times before that. And it was always the first year we played them in 2015. It was a tie game at halftime. And then at second half, they had Anthony Dablé, they had Casey Terriel, they had, monster offensive line. They just steamrolled us the second half. Second time we played against them, or I played against them, they steamrolled us the entire game. So I wasn't going up there to lose again. I was going up there to throw it all out on the table and to have fun. And not a soul thought we were going to win that game. We ended up winning. And then we advanced our shot in the playoffs to the semifinal round to play against the Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns for the 3rd time in a single season. And I went, all right, guys, I'm back. 43 is back in Schwäbisch Hall. Let's do this thing again. And despite our best efforts, as many times against the Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns, that will happen. We lost that game. And as the final whistle blew and I, took my helmet off and I kind of was looking around in disappointment, of course. It was a little bit sad. I did not go for the case of beer directly after the game, which is typically, where I hone in on to relax and calm down. I just sat on the bench. Yeah. It's isotonic.
That's right.
But I sat on the bench and I had this epiphany. I went, if I'm going to beat this team and beat these calibers of teams, I know the mistakes that we're making and why we're making them as a defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. I know the defensive line's making the wrong steps. They don't have gap integrity for the most part. I know linebackers are missing tackles and staring at the quarterback. I know DBs aren't in the right place. Their eyes aren't in the right place. They're staring at the quarterback, not honing on the receivers. If I'm going to beat these teams, it's no longer as a player. I've tried it over and over and over and over again, and I came up with the same wall. It wasn't my physical lack of ability to not play the game anymore, nor the passion that drove me. It was going, if I want to beat these people again, because the first time we beat them was 2015, so I can say that I did beat the Schwäbisch Unicorns in my career. I can be happy about that, even though it was one time.
Yeah.
I need to be the DC.
Right.
And then I immediately spoke to the then vice president of the Allgaeu Comets, Francis Ba, and I said, "Francis, I'm done, man." And he went, "What?" Because he thought I meant I'm done, like I'm out, I'm going. I said, "No, I'm done. I'm not going to play for this team again. If I'm going to do anything for this team, it's going to be as a coach." And that's where it came from. That was the exact moment where it came from.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
So Francis, I've tried to recruit, or I have recruited and failed for him as
He's
well.
a stubborn one. He's a stubborn one, that's for sure.
I'm thinking, did he do something at a car dealership or something like that when he was a player at the Comets?
Yeah, I mean, we had sponsors. We had car sponsors and stuff. And maybe he had a couple cool pictures of him giving the double pistols or something with the car.
Okay, you're right. Yeah,
but outside of that, no, I don't believe. No, okay. He's not affiliated with car dealerships. No.
All right, cool. And something that I thought of. So now this year you're moving on to another position again. So playing for a long time, then coaching one season, and now you move on to the Elf. Any specific reason why that came about? Why we're switching careers again?
Simply opportunity. I saw an opportunity to develop a franchise in every aspect of my being outside of playing and coaching and stuff, and helping with the vision of the people that have already been building said franchise for the last couple of years. And it's just the opportunity of excitement to help others build something from the ground up. It's an incredible opportunity. I could not be happier about it. And I can really pour every aspect of my being into it. As a coach, there was especially just coming out of playing, going straight into coaching, there's that feeling like, fuck, I can go in the locker room and suit up right now. You know what I mean? And not that I was ever, pushing that agenda on my players and everything else like that, but it was always there. You know what I mean?
Did you have a player pass?
Yeah.
Of course you did.
Against my wishes. It was against my wishes. It was there.
Yeah,
it was there.
Yeah.
And the number 43 jersey, number 43 jersey, somehow went missing. I don't know where it went, but it just went missing.
Is that behind you there? Just look behind you.
No, that's Cali, and that's Ireland right there. But,
no, okay.
I don't see
okay. But yeah, sure. Like if there is an opportunity, then there's that thought comes up, to develop, right? And
exhilarating opportunity, truly for me. I can give everything and pour everything into it, and it's nothing. Nothing in my life right now excites me more than that. Truly.
Yeah, sure. So you long time GFL player and then coaching there for same team. So you know what the GFL is about. You've seen that first 3 years of development of the ELF, European League of Football.
Yeah.
What's going to be the difference, you feel like, where are the opportunities that the ELF has that, sort of where the GFL dropped the ball, or, what's your thoughts on that?
Buckle up. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. The GFL has been mismanaged for over 2 decades. The powers at be, not to name anybody in particular, but they have not been investing in the league. They have not been investing in the teams. They have been investing in their pockets. And in my opinion, my subjective opinion, they've stolen not only financially, but the future, and in German, the Zukunft of not only the German Football League, but as football as a whole. It's been stagnant for the last 20 years because it hasn't been developed, and because I believe it was looked at as a business model for those people in charge and not necessarily passionate about building the game. What we've seen this tidal wave of football in the last 3 seasons, what the ELF has done with coaches, with Izume and the people that have organized it, and every single team that's a part of it and contributing to it, is this massive acceleration, not only in football interest, but in the professionalism of the sport. And it's been incredible to observe from the outside, the fact that I can be a part of something on the inside of that to help that along and take my experiences, my knowledge, and everything else like that, as far as being a player and a coach in Europe for almost a decade, or for a decade up until now, and to help accelerate that process even more is insane. It's extremely exciting. What the ELF has done in 3 years has eclipsed what the GFL has done in the past 30. And people are going to disagree with that. People are going to be upset with that statement. It is what it is. You know, my Instagram, you know, my social media, hit me up. You know, I'm all about that smoke if people want to call me out. But that is truly how I feel. And we've only seen 3 years. It's only been 3 years of operation. What's going to happen at year 5? What's going to happen at year 10? You know, it's only exciting. And I truly hope that the people that are managing the ELF and everything on top, at the top level, are guiding everything in the right direction, doing all the right things, because at the moment it's going off like a rocket ship, and I love seeing it. Love to see it.
Yeah. Look, yeah, I've been on the record numerous times to say, like, I'm an ELF fan, man. Like, if you're pro football, you have to be pro ELF, I think, right? More opportunities for players to develop, play on a higher level, great atmosphere, all these kind of things. But I see a downside. You know, there are some situations where it hasn't been that successful. Talking about the Turkish team, the Rams, you know, 1 year and gone. Leipzig had trouble. Prague had some trouble. You know, so those are things that, you know, one of the things that you keep hearing from people in football in Europe is the expansion is going too fast, right?
Yeah.
Have you had any thoughts on that regard when you saw it all develop?
Absolutely. There is still a sense of individuality when it comes to the franchises that are part of the ELF. It's not a conglomerate yet. It's not on that, you know, we're one group, one organization. It's not there yet. It's still kind of this lingering mentality of club football, where every team has to independently build themselves up. And for me, in my opinion, those franchises that have been struggling or that don't exist anymore, it was because I believe their business plan or their market value was overestimated, and they were a little bit too excited to put a team into the ELF a little bit too soon. And it probably wasn't organized in the best way. It was a little bit overambitious. And that's why those teams, I think, are either struggling or they don't exist anymore, in my opinion. It's less about the league's involvement and more about the individual club's success as a business plan.
Yeah. Well, like the NFL's still very similar, right? You know, you have your own organization that runs everything, but there is revenue share. That's, you know, the market share in terms of the contracts, the media contracts.
That's a start.
Yeah, that's something there that that's helpful. Why, if one organization can do the work for everybody else, you know, be great, obviously, right?
Absolutely.
So you last year, I'm sure, you're the DC at the Comets, and the Ravens come knocking at the door. You know, we like this player. How do you feel about that?
You've got to ask yourself what you're doing it for. It's you know, the obvious answer for a lot of people is to say, fuck the ELF, they're taking our players. However, the GFL for a long time was the highest level of football in all of Europe. It was regarded as so not only by Germany, but by every other country that was taking part in club sports. They would all say the GFL, besides maybe the Austrian league with Vienna and Swarco. That would be understanding, because those guys were also juggernauts in their own right and incredible teams. We can see what Vienna did this past season, or not this past season, but the season before, winning the championship.
Sure.
But it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. You obviously have been developing a player in a club franchise for a long time, and now your level of football that you can provide them with is no longer not only the most attractive level of football, but the highest level of competition anymore. That's shifted into a different league. and different cities, and it's that they both, run at the same time, and you can't play for both teams. Obviously, that's a massive problem. Now, what I believe needs to happen is that legitimately both sides need to sit at the table and figure out what they're going to do to make a symbiotic relationship between the two, to whatever capacity. If that's individual teams reaching out to their clubs in the surrounding area to help make or build a cooperative. If it's the league, GFL's leaders and the league, ELF leaders sitting down and formulating a plan for some sort of cooperative relationship, that is the next step. And until that happens, both sides are going to lose, because the players aren't going to be developed enough to be in the ELF and be playing at a high level. So the level of competition in the ELF for the longer term is going to dip down, because they're just taking players from people, and nobody wants to provide players anymore. Yeah. And on the other side, the GFL teams, if they don't support those players in their decisions to move on to a higher level of competition and to be the best players that they can be individually, that's hindering development as well. So it's not a win-win for either side at the moment. There needs to be extended talks. There needs to be a formulated plan. I am not enlightened enough to tell you what that plan is, but I know that there needs to be one.
Yeah, like I feel very similar to that, what you're just saying right there. I think that's cooperation has to be the starting point. At some point, there have to be talks to further the development of the game, right? Make both sides better. That's I think that's what's needed, right?
Don't mean to interrupt you, but if we're talking about developing the game, if that is the mission, the goal, if it's not a business plan trying to make money, but if we're talking about developing players, elevating the league, elevating individual play in Europe, if that's our dream and that's our goal, then that needs to happen.
Yeah. I think, or like to hope at least, that the investors in the ELF actually see this as a really long-term investment, where the return on investment might take a long time, and for any return to happen, that needs to be growing and developing more than seeing like, hey man, like I need to get some of that, recoup some of that cash that I put in there, right? Because if that's too going, if they're thinking that's going to be a couple of years, then that's going to be painful in their wallet, I think.
That goes into every entrepreneur and every investor that's investing into the league, and not into the league necessarily, but into individual and specific teams. At the end of the day, it is business. And at the end of the day, it is the person whose wallet is going into the pot that needs to determine why they're going into it. There are people that in every business, there are people that are passionate about something. They throw money into it and they see the long-term goal. And then there are people that throw money into it and they want a quick buck and they want to pay back on their investment. And I believe that the educated people or educated financiers for all these club teams are making those decisions properly and doing their homework on what they're supposed to be doing, and not just going with hype and hyperbole. That's probably not what got them in their position to invest money in the first place. So that goes into each and every individual investor into teams and organizations, number one. And number two, the motivations for those investors. So if you got a guy who's passionate about football, who's like, damn it, I want a team in my city, I'm going to throw money into it. I'm willing to operate at a loss for the first 5 years, or however long it is. Maybe 5 years is too long. Maybe it's too short. I don't know. But that's their individual mentalities, and that's up for them to decide, and not for everyone else to judge them on, in my opinion.
Yeah. Startup league, right? When you have a startup business, before you start making any profit, they're going to take a while, eh? And these startups. Now these startups, they're also yes, it's a business opportunity, but it's also more the bigger thoughts, right? Like the environment, like this the future of the planet, or bigger things than just Tesla building a car, and we need another brand of car. Like, no, we got enough car brands already out there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now another comparison: GFL football, L football. Is there a different level between the two? Is it similar? What is your thoughts?
I would say the void between those two leagues as far as the level of competition is starting to kind of separate. Initially in the first, I believe, 2 years of operation between the ELF and the GFL, it was very, very little difference. I believe that if we're talking about level of competition, if we're talking about level of production, if we're talking about the quality of refereeing, I can obviously say that from personal experience, between the GFL and ELF, it was better as far as production value and fairness of the game. If we're talking about individual talent level and stuff like that, I believe the ELF is now starting to separate itself. But for the first initial 2 years, it was, in my opinion, around the same. Not maybe for every single club in the GFL, but for the higher tier clubs, Braunschweig, Dresden, Schwäbisch Hall, teams like that. I believe that the difference as far as competitive level of play, the first 2 years of operation, the ELF, I believe that Schwäbisch Hall, Braunschweig, those bigger juggernaut teams, I believe they could have gone toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in the ELF, for sure, 100%.
Yeah. And so now you said, like, mentioned the first 2 years and the third year. Third year, we had the first undefeated champion, right? Now, look, I've worked with a couple of these coaches on these staffs. I mean, we literally have an ex-NFL head coach coaching the ELF League, right? So that obviously is tremendous. There's some other teams have the Swiss team has a whole bunch of college coaches. Norm Chow, who's NFL coach, top colleges, all that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of pull from, organization, like you said, the production. Some of the stadiums are really out of control. Atmosphere. You mentioned the tailgate party, before. Year 3 is an undefeated champion. Now, after that, I see I think I noticed this for the first time is that is a lot of movement of players from here, there, and everywhere. Is that more than what happened in the GFL, or is it really just the same, but there's a bit of more marketing to it?
I think you nailed it on the head right there. I believe that there were a lot of players that stayed for 2-year contracts, maybe even longer than that, outside of me that had the long one. But I believe it's the marketing and the interest of social media and stuff like that that's been exploited or taken advantage of with the ELF. People are just more informed about it now. It seems, it's like machine gun fire when you look at your phone and you see the ELF, this guy going to this team, this guy going to this team, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. People, the fans and the organizations and people a part of those countries and stuff that see their players and invested in their players. Now he's up and leaving. It's information people want to know. In the GFL probably hasn't been taken advantage of for a long time. But I believe you hit it on the head. It's the marketing value that's driving the attention of everybody on social media and kind of keeping people aware and in the periphery, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, without mentioning the team that you're going to, can you share sort of the job description or the position that you're going to fill in this team?
All I can say is that I'm bringing all of my experience to bear. All of my knowledge, everything that I've accumulated from my professional experience as a player and as a coach over the last decade. Every aspect of that knowledge of everything that I've experienced and everything else like that, I will bring everything to bear to assist this organization and build a wonderful, wonderful franchise. I hope I answered your question.
You answered it. Yeah, that's it, right? Now, probably no. This is we don't want to go in too deep or step on anybody's toes if you're not officially announced yet, right? So
I'll wait for them to announce it.
Yeah. In regards to this, the new step, right? You said you're very excited. It's that the toy on Christmas morning. I think it's always great when you go to a new organization. You got some fresh energy. You got your ideas. What I like, what you're saying, you basically bring 10 years of experience, and you've been living the GFL football for that long. You bring that that knowledge of the game, of the GFL, the European game, because it is not it's American football, but it's European American football, right?
Correct.
I like that where you've basically seen it all, right? You've seen where you can get the successes, where it can go wrong. I love that for guys who, whatever it is, you get a playing career, and if it goes into coaching and you go full steam ahead in coaching, or you go another direction, I love that. So I would say hopefully soon this new position can be announced, and
I'll leave it. That's up to them. I'll let them. If they want to hold it back, that's fine. That's okay with me.
Good. So you said you've lived in Europe for 10 years. How often do you go home?
Last time I went home was 2019, was before Corona. And home for me is Los Angeles, California, and it's in a bad way right now, and it's been in a bad way, or declining ever since I really left in 2019. The cost of living, the cost of traveling, the cost of surviving in California is it's people are, I know very close, either family members of mine or close friends of mine that are very well off financially. And even they themselves are like, hey, I want to get out of here and go somewhere else. So I haven't been back since before Corona, since 2019. And that's no problem for me. For me, Kempten, really, Germany and Kempten are my home now. I can honestly say that out of my heart. I've been here for a decade. It's a medium-sized city. It's, I think, around 70, 80,000 people. I can walk around the town and say hi, get stopped on the street every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes by people that I know. So this became my home, and I had no need to go back to that environment, to Los Angeles, and kind of, touch base with people. We got FaceTime. I can jump on Warzone, jump on the sticks and shoot some people with them. It could be a good time. But I believe, actually, on the other side, since I don't have a need to go back there anymore, I want to invite those people, those close people into my life, over to this, especially in this developing world of football that I've been investing in, and this beautiful scenery that we have around us in Bayern, down south here, not only in Kempten, but Munich. It's close, close proximity. So,
yeah. All right. So I think we reached the end of our podcast here. We wanted to say, thank you for being a part of it. Lots of success moving forward. Like with all the guests, I would love to have you back, and to share your experience that you've, after the season. Maybe you're one of the great successes and seasons of your franchise. Looking forward to catch up then. And if there's anything you want to finish off with, that'd be good.
Yeah, I can do a shameless plug. Why not? If you're a European player or an American player that needs a little bit of mentorship or a little bit of guidance, I started a company at the beginning of this year called Champion Football Consulting. It's championfootballconsulting.com. You can look it up. We can schedule a time to meet, book an appointment, and I can kind of help you on your journey. If it's I'm working a job, I don't know how to treat my body, or if it's Americans trying to get over here initially and play in Europe and get into this European atmosphere, then I can definitely help out. And my services are available at championfootballconsulting.com. Logo's right there, and would love to hear from you guys.
Champion Football Consulting.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Nice. So that is basically a all-service business from A to Z. How do you get ready for football, or how do you get into European football, or anything in between?
Correct. Illuminating your path on European football, no matter where, if it's from America, if it's from Australia, if it's in Europe itself. But yeah, everything included.
Every business has a Facebook page?
Except mine.
Oh.
I have a website and an Instagram profile.
Okay, and Instagram. Okay, Instagram.
Yes,
all right. So I don't have that yet. So we'll hook each other up after the podcast here. All right. Thanks again, Niall, and we speak soon.
Absolutely, my absolute pleasure today. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Well, bye-bye.